to continue with simultaneous equations. So for our first question, we have s plus 4k equals 6, and 5s plus 3k equal 47. So remember, the first thing we want to do is get the coefficients of both coefficients of the k's should be the same. So to do that, we're basically going to multiply the equation by multiply each equation by the number of the opposite equation, so that the number will be the same. So for this first equation, if we want 4 and 3 the same, we're going to multiply this equation by 3, the coefficient of this variable here. And for the second equation, we're going to multiply the whole equation, the entire equation, by 4, the variable of this coefficient, the coefficient of this variable, sorry. So we're going to have 3 multiplied by s is equal to 3s, and we're going to have 3 multiplied by 4k is equal to 12k. Then we're going to have 3 multiplied by the 6, and 3 times 6 is 18. And so for the second equation, we're going to have 4 multiplied by 5s, and that's going to give us 20s. Then we're going to have the 4 multiplied by 3k. We have plus 12k again. And then 7 multiplied by 4, and that's going to give us 188. So now that we have both coefficients of the second variable, which is k, or the second term, the coefficients here are the same. Now we want to be able to cross them out. And to do that, we have to make one of them negative. So let's just multiply this whole equation by a -1, so that this equation is going to give us a negative k, so that we could just cancel out the k's. So let's just write back the first equation and multiply everything out by -1. So everything is just going to become negative now. So we're going to have a negative 20s minus 12k, and that's going to be equal to negative 188. Okay? So now that we have this equation here, we can just cancel out the k's when we're adding. So (3 minus 20 is negative 17s. 12k minus 12k is just going to be 0, so we could just cancel that out. And then 18 minus 188 is equal to negative 170. Okay, so now that we have this more simpler equation here, all we have to do is solve for s. And to solve for s, we're just going to get rid of the negative 17 on both sides by dividing through. Alright, and so the negative 17's here cancels out, and negative 170 divided by 17 is just going to give us a positive 10, because a negative divided by negative is a positive number. So we found that s is equal to 70. Now the next step into solving this would be to solve for k. Let's just we're going to use this equation here to solve for k. So s plus 4k is equal to 6. S is equal to 10. We're going to substitute there. Plus 4k is equal to 6. And so now we're going to take the 10 over. 4k is equal to 6 minus 10. 4k is equal to negative 4. And then divide on both sides. So k is equal to -1. So now that we've solved for both S and K, we're going to do a check to see whether our answer is correct. We're going to use one of the equations, any one of them. So I'm going to use the simpler one, which is the first one. S plus 4K is equal to 6. And we're going to substitute both variables, both answers that we found into this equation to see whether we get 6 back. And we know if our answer is correct. So S is equal to 10. And K is equal to -1. And so we're going to check to see if that's equal to 6. So 10, 4 times -1 is -4 is equal to 6. And 10 minus 4 is 6 is equal to 6. So we know that our answer is correct because they're equal. That's how we solve. So at first we made the coefficient of the y variables or the second terms the same. But we don't have to do it that way. We could just make the first term coefficients the same. And in this case, the coefficients of the x are already the same. So that step is already completed. So now what we want to do is just make one of them a negative number so that we'd be able to cancel them out. So we're just going to multiply this entire equation by -1. So we're going to write back the first equation, 2x plus 3y equal 8, and multiply out the -1 throughout the entire second equation. So we're going to get -2x minus 5y equal -12, right? So now we're going to just add them both. So 2 minus 2, or 2x minus 2x, is just going to give us a 0. So we cancel those out. And now we have 3y minus 5y is -2y. And then we have 8 minus 12 is a -4. Alright, so now we're just going to solve for y by dividing by -2 on both sides. So then y is going to be equal to +2. So now that we've solved for y, we're going to solve for x. And we'll just use the same equation to solve for x. 2x plus 3y equal 8. So y is equal to 2 in this case. So 2x plus 3 multiplied by 2 is equal to 8. So 2x plus 2 times 3 is 6 equal to 8. Let's take the 6 over. 2x is equal to 8 minus 6. So 2x is equal to 2. And to get x by itself, we divide by 2 on both sides. So x is equal to 1. And that's how we solve that question. But to check our answer, what we're going to do is use the same equation from the beginning. 2x plus 3y is equal to 8. And we're going to substitute both x and y to see whether we get back 8. So x is equal to 1 and y is equal to 2. It's equal to 8. 2 times 1 is 2 and 2 times 3 is 6. And we know that 6 plus 2 is 8, so 8 is equal to 8. So that one. Alright, so for our final question, we're going to have 4x plus y equal to 10, and 5x minus 4y is equal to 2. So remember, the first thing we want to do is get the coefficients the same. And so we're going to get the coefficients of the y the same, because we see that one of them is already a negative. So in the second step, we wouldn't have to multiply the equation by a negative number. So let's multiply the first equation by 4, so that both the coefficients of the y variables will be the same. So 4 times 4 is 16x, plus 4 times y is 4y, and 4 times 10 is 40. So 2 times 5, we're just going to write back the same equation. Okay, so now we're going to just write back the same equation for the second equation. So that's going to be 5x minus 4y is equal to 2. So let's add both equations. 16x plus 5x is going to give us 21x, and 4y minus y cancels out to 0. So we're going to have equal 40 plus 2, which is 42. So now we're just going to solve for x by dividing on both sides by 21. And we know that 21 goes into 42 2 times. So we've solved for x already. Now what we're going to do is use the second equation to solve for y. Sorry, the first equation to solve for y. So x is going to be 2, and we have y is equal to 10. And 2 times 4 is 8, plus y equal 10. And if we carry 8 over, y is going to equal 10 minus 8, which makes y also 2. So now we're going to check. We're going to use the first equation to check to see if our answer is correct. So 4x is equal to 2 plus y is equal to 2 is going to equal to 10. And 2 times 4 is 8 plus 2 is equal to 10. And we know 8 plus 2 is 10. So the answer checks out. And that's how to solve these pairs of simultaneous equations.